Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Tapp with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. How are you guys today?
I'm doing wonderful, Jenny. How are you today? Hey, Skip.
You know, Jenny, I'm doing wonderful today because as long as I get to talk about my Dallas Cowboys who are back in the saddle and Kevin Durant may be coming back pretty soon as the best player on the planet and Michael Jordan, the obvious GOAT, I am great.
There's some things we can debate. Kevin Durant maybe being the best player on the planet, okay. But your Cowboys being anything good, no debate there.
Cowboys, KD, Michael Jordan. We got a good show. Oh, LeBron will be in there as well. But how about we start by talking about those Dallas Cowboys and a new quarterback, Andy Dalton, who called his signing with the Cowboys his, quote, best opportunity that was part of a big picture plan. It was also reportedly one of 6 offers that Dalton received. It's easy to see why Dallas was the best opportunity since details have come out that Dalton could earn an additional $4 million in incentives, although they will be tough to reach. So, Shannon, did Andy Dalton make the right choice going with the Cowboys?
Well, Skip, he is from Texas. He played for TCU, which is very close to Dallas. I'm in the Fort Worth area, so it's very close to Dallas. And so I think the thing for him is that it does give him an opportunity. Now, Skip, this is a blessing and a curse because I think the thing is that he's not going to get an opportunity to play a lot. So basically, he's going to have to base moving forward on his past resume. It's hard for you to deduce that, oh, yeah, Andy Dalton is the guy that we really need, considering there's a chance he doesn't get an opportunity to play. But I can understand why he would come to Dallas, given the pieces that they have around, especially offensively. Have a very talented offensive line, have a running back that's top 5 every year in rushing. 2 of his first 4 years, he led the league in rushing. You have 2 guys outside. You take a receiver in the first round. So they're loaded offensively. You could understand if something were to happen to Dak, he gets an opportunity to go in. You can understand and you can see he just might even flourish considering what he was in Cincinnati early in his career when he had A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd was healthy, and so forth and so on, Skip. So I get it. It's a great opportunity for him. Now, that being said, it also is an opportunity for him to get exposed. He goes there. He doesn't play as well as he thinks he's going to play, or people think he can play given the set of circumstances. And then people look like, well, if you can't do what you used to do with all that talent, what good are you going to do coming to my football team? So, Skip, I think it's a great opportunity, and I just don't know how much he's going to be able to showcase. It's like, Skip, you don't know how well a car works if someone never cranks it up and drive it. It might look good just sitting in the driveway, but for all we know, it doesn't even have a motor. So if Andy Dalton gets an opportunity to play, then I think it can highlight and says, okay, yeah, this was really, really great opportunity for me.
By the way, right now, my car looks really, really good in the driveway. Yeah. I don't even know if it has a motor because I don't even start it up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Back to Andy Dalton. This is one of the weirdest stories I've ever encountered. Completely inexplicable. And for all those years that Andy Dalton was in Cincinnati, he was maybe the most boring quarterback in pro football, and I didn't care about Andy Dalton. Now I really, really care about Andy Dalton because he very well could be the starting quarterback for my Dallas Cowboys, the Red Rifle. All of a sudden, he comes to life. Because, Shannon, the harder I look at this, the less sense it makes. 2 plus 2 do not equal 4, which is the number worn by the quarterback I have loved, Dak Prescott. So let me get this straight. Andy Dalton says he had 5 other opportunities. So 5 other teams said, please come and play for us. That sounds like it could have been a little bit of a bidding war in that some of the teams might have wanted him worse than the Dallas Cowboys did. I assume New England was in the mix. I don't know that for sure. I assume that Belichick might have wanted Andy Dalton to come in. Nice fit for his system, sort of Brady-esque in the way he manages the game, and compete with Jared Stidham, a quarterback who's never obviously started a game and is going to try to replace the GOAT, Tom Brady. I assume Jacksonville was in the mix because his former coordinator in Cincinnati, Jay Gruden, is obviously now in Jacksonville. And I assume they might have wanted him to come in and compete with Gardner Minshew, a young quarterback still trying to establish himself in the NFL. I remind everybody, Andy Dalton in his first 5 years in Cincinnati averaged winning 10 games. Averaged.
Yes.
And he averaged in those first 5 years throwing 25 touchdown passes a game. Dak, so far in his first 4 years, has averaged 24 touchdown passes a year. So one more than Dak has in the early stint in his career. And Andy Dalton made 3 Pro Bowls and took 4 Bengals teams to playoffs. Didn't win a playoff game, but he got 4 of those Cincinnati teams to the playoffs. He was scheduled to make $17.7 million next year. And they were able to draft Joe Burrow, love that, and they cut Andy Dalton. So suddenly he's a free agent, and he has 5 other opportunities, probably for more money, and he takes no money to me. He takes a $3 million base, which was barely above what they'd already offered to pay Cooper Rush, their backup, $2.2 million. They cut him yesterday, predictably. But they were already scheduled to pay him 2.2, so they went to 3 for Andy Dalton. Think about this, with incentives that could get him to 7. But Shannon, did you look at the incentives? They're preposterously impossible to achieve. He has to go win the Super Bowl. Seriously, he has to play the majority of the snaps in a Super Bowl victory to get to $4 million more in incentives that would get him to 7 total for the year. $7 million, but really it's just 3 base for Andy Dalton. So why would he choose such no money in Dallas, except to your point, he went to TCU. He's from the Houston area, Katy, Texas. He does have a home in Dallas. It's about a 30-minute drive from the Cowboy facility, which is up in Frisco. And he does have 2 fairly young boys, 6 and 3 years old. So maybe since they already had their off-season home there, it's like, well, let's just stay here for a year and then try to hit the market as a free agent. But Shannon, I don't get it because something else is at work here. My theory is that Jerry Jones is at work here. And we're going to do a topic later in which we're going to talk about the comments that Michael Irvin made about Jerry Jones on Dallas radio 2 days ago. And I'm just going to hit them quickly, and we'll get to the depth of them later in the show. But Michael's point was he was advising CeeDee Lamb on how to deal with Jerry. And he said, Jerry didn't become a billionaire not being very persuasive. Jerry's one of the greatest dudes in the world to play for. But boy, when Jerry gets something in his head, he gets running with it. Trust me, he can be very persuasive. I believe he got into the ear of Andy Dalton, and he said, hey, we have hit a crisis point with Dak Prescott. I believe that somehow, some way, Jerry all but promised Andy Dalton he was going to get some playing time this year in Dallas with that explosive offense. Because all of Andy's comments were how happy he is to be able to play for Mike McCarthy, to learn under a guy who coached Montana and Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and how he said, I wanted an opportunity to win. Well, again, he's talking like he might get a shot to actually play quarterback for this team.
Right.
Shannon, I've told you, my greatest fear is that Jerry Jones has decided his negotiation with Dak and the new agent has gone completely south, that all of a sudden Jerry is to the point. Remember, when he reaches that point of no return, as he did once upon a time with Jimmy Johnson as head coach, he just goes over the edge. Nobody has a quicker temper or a longer fuse. It takes a long time for the temper to go, but when it goes, Shannon, it just explodes. I have witnessed it detonate. And when Jerry detonates, it's over, man. He doesn't care who you are or what value you have. He just moves on to the next. And it's starting to feel like he's very happy to have a shot at Andy Dalton, and that his powers of persuasion convinced Andy Dalton that this thing has gone south with Dak Prescott to the point that either he might rescind the franchise tag that he's placed on Dak until July 15th, or it might be that Jerry just thinks Dak's going to hold out, and that they are convinced he's going to miss real games and that Andy Dalton will get a shot. That's the only theory that makes sense to me of why Andy would turn down New England and Jacksonville in favor of playing behind a quarterback, Dak Prescott, that if he's signed, sealed, and delivered, Shannon, he's 64 for 64. He's never missed a game. Played in all 64 games he was eligible to play for.
Right.
Well, he's the most durable quarterback in pro football. So why would Andy Dalton choose this unless Jerry convinced him, I don't think Dak's going to be there for us when we start playing games next year. I think Andy Dalton believes he's going to play for the Cowboys.
Skip, I think there are a lot of things at play, and let's go back and look at it this way. The most glamorous job in pro sports in which you are not a starter is the backup quarterback. Because everybody thinks, Skip, you've been around this game far too long. Everybody thinks the backup quarterback is better than they actually are. And then